want you for a second to close your eyes. Imagine that it's a bit chilly outside, you've got a cup of tea, you've got a blanket, you can hear the rain falling on the roof, there's like a little fire crackling, and you're sitting with your favorite book. That, my friends, is autumn in a nutshell. Autumn is my favorite time of the year for many, many things. Here in Australia, it is like Easter time. So things like hot cross buns and stuff like that always makes me like excited for autumn. Same with like chai lattes. The leaves are falling, they're changing color. It's getting a bit colder. The nights are darker. Anyway, don't get me wrong. I love absolutely every season, but autumn in particular is my favorite. There is just something about it that I am just like addicted to. Like if it could be autumn all the time, I would be happy. The fact that it's like not freezing cold, but also like cold, and then sometimes you have warmer days and cooler nights. I don't know, it's just the best, and it's the best for reading, I find. Cuddling up on the couch with a cozy little blanket and a tea and a book sounds phenomenal to me. So in it saying that, I thought I would chat to you about some of my favorite autumn reads, or like fall reads, for you if you are also in Australia and are wanting some books to put you in the autumn mood. So there's a few different genres, so I will start off with some romance books first, and then I'll get into some of the other ones a bit later. But grab your cup of tea, or put me on in the background. I've got my cup of tea, here we go. Or put me on the background if you're doing some work, and let's chat about some books. I will say, if you can't hear my voice, I am still sick. So I am still recovering, but YouTube must go on. So let's go. Alright, starting off with our first romance book, which is While You Were Reading. This book I picked up in an airport a long time ago. I was in the airport in South Africa coming home, and I was like, this sounds like a great book, and I literally finished it on the flight. I loved it that much. I think because I had just been to South Africa, and this book is based in Melbourne. So this doesn't really have like weather in it, but for some reason autumn and Melbourne and this book just go together. I don't know, you kind of pick it up as I chat you through it. But we have Beatrix, and she's 29 and she's just moved to Melbourne. So she's just moved to Melbourne. A little bit of her life is kind of falling apart. She's made a few mistakes. Her friend kind of hates her. Anyway, so she moves to Melbourne, and she is in need of a job and some friends and to connect with people. And she goes to this cafe, and she meets this guy there, obviously the barista, and she's like, this guy's lovely, and we get to chat all the time, and it becomes her coffee shop in the morning before she runs off to work. Then she also finds this book. She stumbles across a secondhand novel inscribed with notes, and she falls in love with the book, but not only that, she falls in love with the person who is writing these notes. She just thinks they are phenomenal. So she ends up posting on an Instagram page, or a bookstagram, about this particular book. So she ends up gaining followers through that, and she's trying to find the person that had this book, and has written all the little notes in the margins. So there's this guy, and he puts his hand up that he wrote them, and then she meets him, and they go on this date, and they're all over each other. But then she soon realizes that he is not the one that wrote those little notes in the margins because of certain things. She starts like picking up on little clues and talks about the book, and he has actually no idea what's going on. Anyway, I just think it's such a cute book. I have read it a couple times now, and it's still like one of my favorite books. The fact that it is in Melbourne, and it's like coffee shops and cute little bookish dates and all of those things, I don't know, it gives me autumn vibes. Right, we have two more romance books, which are from the same series, which is the Dream Harbour series. These books are so cute, and of course, even by looking at the covers, they just give autumn vibes, okay? Even the names. We've got the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which was probably, I think, my favorite so far in this series. It's just so sweet. So let me reread the back. So we have Jeannie, who has moved to Dream Harbour to take over her aunt's cafe. There's a lot of cafes, I just realised. her aunt's cafe. She's just taken over. And while she's there, she kind of hears all these noises and she's like freaking out. Turns out this is just this big lumberjack farmer guy. Anyway, so she's scared and he kind of stays with her to keep her company, so she's not scared. But this whole time you're kind of trying to figure out who is causing all of this ruckus around where she lives, because it's like the cafe's down the bottom and she lives on top of the cafe. Anyway, so Logan is the guy's name. And he is a local farmer who avoids Dream Harbor's gossip at all costs. But Jeannie's arrival disrupts Logan's routine, and he wants nothing to do with the irritatingly upbeat new girl, except that he finds himself inexplicably drawn to her. So, of course, she kind of has to work with him because it's a cafe and he's a farmer. So those type of things. But I think this one is my favorite in the series because, yeah, there's kind of something going on in the cafe and you're kind of trying to solve this little mystery alongside the romance element to this book. And then we have the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which has Hazel in it. And Hazel, she is 29, about to turn 30, and she's kind of realized that she hasn't really lived her life. She hasn't done all the fun things that you would in your 20s. She is quite quiet and shy, and she owns this bookstore. And yeah, anyway, until one day she finds in one of her books, she finds a note, and she's very curious about this note and who has left the note. But the notes keep showing up in multiple books, and she starts doing what the notes tell her to do, and she realizes that she's starting to live her life more, but she has no idea who's leaving these notes. So she gets Noah. Noah is a local fisherman, and he is kind of helping her trying to solve who is writing these notes. They're spending time together and they actually fulfill whatever the notes activity is or whatever it is together, and so they end up falling, of course, for each other. My only thing with this book was that I didn't think it was good that she was almost 30. I think it would have been great if she was a bit younger, but that's my problem with a lot of books where they set women at an older age. Not that 30 is that old, but I think there's some things that are just a little bit unrealistic when it gets to the point of being 30. Anyway, this was a super cute little romance book, and of course gives all the autumn vibes. Then I have this general fiction book. I would say I actually picked this up in an op shop ages ago, and I love the cover, but there was something that I was always just drawn to in this book. And I think that because of, as I said, a lot of these things are like cafes, and the other book was also a cafe, and this book is also a cafe. There's something about cafes and being cozy and like autumn. I don't know, they just go hand in hand. But I think at the end of the day, what I was going to say is that I own my own cafe, and so it's like all of these books almost like led me to falling in love with being in a cafe, just because you like connect with so many people. And this book in particular, so it is The Tea House on Mulberry Street, and it follows a old couple who have owned this tea house for ages, and the woman, she wants to make things a little bit better and to decorate things, and he's kind of just stuck in his old ways, and he doesn't really want to update anything because, like, why fix something that's not broken? And she loves decorating things. And anyway, but it follows all of these people that come into their cafe and their lives. So it doesn't just follow the people that own the tea shop or the cafe, it follows all of the customers' lives. And I just love it. It's so fun. So let me read the back of it for you. I have read this book multiple times and I still love it. And the fact that these books were like one in an airport, one in an op shop, like I just love that. I think it's cute. So we have Penny Stanley's marriage to Daniel is falling apart, and so is their shabby tea house on Mulberry Street. But its customers love the cozy atmosphere and luscious desserts. Penniless artist Brenda sits writing letters to Nicolas Cage. Sadie finds refuge from her diet and her husband in a slice of rich cherry cheesecake. And Claire returns to the tea house in search of love. When he takes action to spruce up the tea house, she discovers it's a magical place with secrets of its own. So it just shows you how a place like a cafe or a tea shop can be a home to so many people. So I loved this book. If you can find it, I'm not sure, you can probably find it on Amazon, but it is The Tea Shop on Mulberry Street, and it's just such a cute little read. All right, moving on, we have cozy fantasy. I think any form of fantasy you read in autumn should be cozy fantasy. It just goes with the whole vibe of what autumn is. If you have never read a cozy fantasy before and you're used to like more high stakes fantasy like Fourth Wing or Throne of Glass, those are like high stakes. Like there's a lot going on in those books. There's a lot of war, there's a lot of stuff going on. A cozy fantasy is something like Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So I have this collection up here. Let me get it for you. This is what she looks like in all her glory. They are beautiful books. I will say that most of them give me more spring vibes, just by like the designs and the covers of these books. I actually bought these especially just to keep on my shelf. But the first one in particular gives autumn vibes. So this is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. There is a lot going on in all of these books. However, they are just so cute. And in my mind, the fairies are like Tinkerbell fairies, and you can't change my mind about it, okay? It's gonna stay that way. I don't care. So we have Emily Wilde is good at many things, and she is foremost expert on the study of fairies. She's a genius scholar and meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people, so she ends up going to this little village. I'm not going to pronounce it because I'm going to just butcher that. But it's somewhere in like Ireland, okay? So she's at this little village and she is doing her study on fairies and writing this encyclopedia. So you kind of go on her journey with meeting people and being in Ireland and trying to discover these fairies and how to find the fairies and lure the fairies in. And then she ends up meeting someone very important, and a lot of other things start to happen. But it is quite an easy read. I think the only hard thing would be the pronunciation of some of the fairies as well as the places that she goes. But it is just such a cute series. And I do love it. It is just a cozy fantasy. Okay, this next time, I think it only gives me autumn vibes just because when I was reading it at the time was kind of autumn winter, and I did put like the background to this book on the TV. And so it just gives me autumn vibes as well. And this is another fantasy one. It's kind of in the middle of like cozy fantasy and high stakes because it's not really that much of a high stake. So we have this duology. I actually haven't finished it, and it is the Six of Crows series. My husband bought me this book for my birthday, and I would like to reread it just because I think at the time I was reading it, I wasn't really like properly focused on reading this book. So I would like to read it again, hence why I haven't finished the duology. I do have the second book. It's just behind me here on my TBR cart, because there was obviously this is a special edition, and this particular bookstore was closing down, and I was like, well, I have to get the second special edition or else it'll just be ruined on my shelf. Anyway, so we have the Six of Crows series. As I said, I would like to read it again to get a better grasp on what actually happened. I know so many people love this book, and he picked this book because he asked the girl in the bookstore what her favorite book is, and she said this one. So as I said, I would like to read it again, but to read you what it is about. So we have a criminal prodigy, Kaz, and he is offered a chance at a deadly heist, break into the Ice Court, a military stronghold that has never been breached, and retrieve a hostage whose knowledge could change Grisha magic forever. To succeed would mean riches beyond his wildest dreams, and he can pull it off alone. So we have a convict with a thirst for revenge, a sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager, a runaway with a privileged past, a spy known as the Wraith, a heartrender using her magic to survive the slums, and a thief with a gift for unlikely escapes. So we have 6 dangerous outcasts, one impossible heist. Together they might just be unstoppable. So it starts off kind of following each character and what they're currently up to, and then it puts them together on how they have done like different heists before, and then they all come together to do this big heist. So it's a really, really cool concept. I love that it has 6 different characters, and we follow each of those characters and what they go through and what they're thinking and all of that. Like, this is why I love dual POVs so much in romance books, because I need to know what's going through other people's heads. So the fact that we have 6 different people and we follow all 6 of them and we get a taste of what they are like, like in each chapter is a different person, and I love it. It's great. So yeah, it's a really, really cool book. Oh, cool. I just realized I have a signed copy. Oh my gosh, how did I not notice that before? What the heck? Okay, well, this book is very special, so I really need to read it again to fall in love with this book, so that I can also read the next one, which I think is Crooked Kingdom. Yeah, it's Crooked Kingdom, and it follows, I believe, the same people. The next book I have is some more cozy fantasy, and that is like the Witch's Guides to whatever. All of these types of books are always like some sort of cozy fantasy, and are always just like funny, quirky reads. I don't know, I can't tell you much more about it, but this one is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, and it is about this witch who, she is a very powerful witch who has been exiled from her guild. So she is helping her aunt, whom she raised from the dead, in her inn, and obviously she deals with a lot of quirky guests. But then we have Luke Larison, and he is a magical historian who might have the key to unlocking a certain spell's secret, who, like, she really needs this spell in order to get back into the guild. Luke has no interest in the inn, and he has even less interest in letting a certain bewitching innkeeper past his walls. So no one is more surprised than he is when he agrees to help her. Running an inn, reclaiming lost power, and staying one step ahead of the watchful guild is a lot for anyone. But Sarah is about to discover she doesn't have to do it alone, and that love might be the best magic of all. So yeah, it's a little cozy fantasy romance book. Next one is also another witches one, which I actually really liked this one, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. So we have this witch who is moving to get a job, and she's on like Instagram, right? And she is a witch on Instagram, and she has a lot of followers, but she's different to all of the other witches. So basically, to get this job, the people that she's working with saw her Instagram account and realized that she was different to all of the fake witches out there. She was actually a real witch, and they needed her, so they offered her this job. And so she moves out of her apartment that she was living in, and goes to this place in literally the middle of nowhere to work, and she is to be a teacher there. But she doesn't realize that she's being a teacher to like 4 or 6 girls that have no idea how to control their magic. And so it's kind of like almost like a boarding school of these young girls that have powers and have magic, but they have no idea how to use it. So it's just utter chaos, because they have no idea how to do anything. And then she's freaking out because she's like, this is not the type of job I thought this was going to be. I thought I was going to be teaching magic to a class of people, and this is just not it. And then we have like multiple teachers, and she gets to know all of those teachers. And then there is one handsome, prickly librarian of Nowhere House, that's what it's called. And he would do anything to protect the children, and as far as he's concerned, a stranger like Mika is a threat, an irritatingly appealing threat. As Mika begins to find her place at Nowhere House, the thought of belonging somewhere begins to feel like a real possibility. But magic isn't the only danger in the world, and when a threat comes knocking at their door, Mika will need to decide whether to risk everything to protect a found family she didn't know she was really looking for. Those are all the books that I recommend and have read already for your autumn vibes. Now I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I would like to read in autumn/fall this year. So that is a couple by Julie Olivia. Honestly, just by the looks of them, they look very fall coded, so I think they'd be cute. There are also some romance ones. One of them is If It Makes You Happy, which is like, okay, so she's moved into a new next door neighbor, seems to have everything figured out. Small town golden boy, check. Single dad extraordinaire, check. Hot baker forearms, also check. She takes over her mum's dream bed and breakfast in Copper Run, Vermont. And she obviously meets this cute baker guy, and it just sounds like a cute little cozy romance, if I'm honest with you. Baker, again, with the small bed and breakfasts, you know, all of the things. Okay, they are not the same author. I don't know why. I think because the covers are so similar, I thought it was the same author, but it's not the same author. Anyway, so we have Misty Wilson's Falling Like Leaves. also looks like a really cute one, and it also looks like it's part of a series, and it's saying that it's Gilmore Girls meets Jenny Hang. That's so cute. That'd be so good. In a autumnal teen rom-com about a city girl stuck in a quaint small town who must confront her future and her old flame while the town prepares for an annual fall festival. So probably more like a young adult vibes. However, it does seem really cute, and I mean, if it's Gilmore Girls and Jenny Hung, then we're pretty good, I think. That sounds really cute. So those are a couple of the romance books that I'd like to read. The next book that I would like to read is a bit of a funky one, and again, it was from the same like bookstore that was closing down, so I had to get it because I thought it was hilarious, and that is Baking Bad. And it's a cozy mystery with dragons is what it says at the title, and that just sounds fantastic to me, and I just can't wait to read this book in autumn. So we're set in a quaint village, and there is a poison cupcake. So that's it, pretty much. It's a simple case, or it should be, but all clues point to the Toot Hansel Women's Institute, and Detective Inspector Adams is about to discover there's much more to the WI than bake sales and jam making. So it sounds like chaos. The fact that there's dragons and poisoned baked goods and a murder mystery just sounds so, like, it sounds like it's going to be funny, and the fact that someone's literally titled this Baking Bad and not Breaking Bad is fantastic. Whoever come up with these things is just great. So anyway, I think that is going to be an interesting read. Those are all of my autumn book recs and books that I would like to be reading this autumn. If you have any of your own that I did not mention, I would love to read them, so please write them in the comments below to let me know, and I will definitely get to reading those ones. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.